Hello everyone, I am Julian Morris with the Channel 5 News. In the headlines, opposition leader Lennox Linton pleads not guilty to obstruction. A change in venue for the grand opening of this year's independence celebrations, and the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court ready to launch its e-litigation portal. We'll have details of these and other stories coming up.
When persons with TB sneeze or cough, healthy persons nearby breathe in the droplets and the bacteria can lodge in their lungs. People with weakened immune systems such as HIV/AIDS, alcohol and drug users, smokers, children, and the elderly are most susceptible. Persons with a cough should take precautions when in contact with persons in public places. Cover your mouth when sneezing and coughing. Visit your doctor or health center. You must complete your treatment. TB can be cured even with HIV. Be responsible. Help stop the spread of TB and HIV. Protect yourself and others.
First up in the news, debate on the supplementary estimates expected to continue when the House of Assembly resumes at 10 o'clock Friday morning. In spite of protests outside, members of Parliament were generally focused on debating the estimates in the amount of $289 million. Minister in the Prime Minister's office with responsibility for housing, Johnson Drago, said it was money well spent, saying he was impressed with the work done on dredging Dominica's rivers post-Maria. Government MPs have so far generally defended the estimates as legitimate, as government was able to address the critical needs of Dominica post-Hurricane Maria. Well, protesters also gathered outside court on Thursday as opposition leader Lennox Linton and others from his party pleaded not guilty to a charge of obstruction. According to National Radio DBS, the charge of incitement was not read to them. This matter stems out of opposition protest action in Rose on February 7, 2017. That matter has been adjourned to March next year. In other news, the venue for the grand opening of the country's 40th independence anniversary has been changed.
Initially, the ceremony was scheduled for the Windsor Park Stadium. However, Chief Cultural Officer Raymond Lawrence explained that the opening ceremony, carried for Saturday, 29th September, will now be held at a different location.
The official opening of the reunion will be next week Saturday, God willing, the September the 29th, at the Gardens now, not the stadium as previously announced. We had to sort of switch plans because repairs are now being undertaken at the stadium. So we had to switch over to the cricket field at the Botanic Gardens. So please try to make those announcements for us in your promotions on the media, but we are inviting all of Dominica to come out to the scenic and beautiful gardens, Botanic Gardens, starting at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Lawrence says as the country is celebrating 40 years of independence, showcasing the traditional culture is key and recognition must be given to those who have preserved the culture over the years.
Then we have traditional cultural festivals. It's so important because what has always inspired me is the work of Edward Oliver LeBlanc when he declared that first National Day. And then he himself said that he grew up in Vickers, and you know the story of it, and he had quadrille, and so people dancing in his home, and so. And he thought at the time that he thought those traditions were dying, and that is really what inspired him to introduce and come up with the idea of the National Day celebrations with the focus on those traditions in order that those traditions do not die. And I've said that I think the National Day celebrations, now the independence celebrations, have been very key in keeping those traditions. Had it not been for that celebration, we probably would have lost a lot of our culture right now.
Other signature events for this year's independence celebrations include History Week, a National Art and Craft exhibition, National Tree Planting Day, and the first ever motorcade for Flag Day.
And the Dominica Festivals Committee is gearing up to celebrate Dominica's 40th independence anniversary in a big way.
This as a 40 Days of Creole campaign is earmarked to start this weekend. Acting Festival and Events Manager of the Dominica Festivals Committee, Marva Williams, says the campaign will bring heightened awareness to Dominica's landmark independence anniversary.
We are getting into our 40 days of Creole, and our 40 days of Creole, Mr. Lawrence, starts on Sunday, basically, where we are opening up with National Day of Prayer. So we know that it's always important to invite, the presence of the Lord into our lives, and then He always guides our path. And this year, now more than ever, it is always important to acknowledge. So it was important and always is to open the independence celebrations with a word of prayer, and that begins our 40 days of Creole.
Williams says another way in which the DFC is promoting Dominica's 40th anniversary is through themed Festival Duvet events on the weekend.
So on September 28th, we are going to celebrate 40 years of fashion. So together with the electronic bands we are going to highlight in a big way the contemporary and more so the traditional aspect of the World Creole Music Festival. Then we are going to move to October 5th, and at the October 5th Duvet, we are going to highlight 40 years of music. So we are going to have some of the longest standing bands in Dominica. We are going to be graced with some of our traditional singing groups just to celebrate 40 years of music. The following week, which is October 12th, we are going to celebrate 40 years of dance. And of course, we will be graced with the presence of some of our traditional dancing groups, ballet, folk songs, and so just to celebrate the 40 years of dance. And then the last Duvet, which is October 19th, is going to signify 40 years of cuisine.
Consultations expected to be held across the OECS over the next few months to engage the public on the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court's Sentencing Guidelines project. The intent is to share with the people of the OECS the new draft sentencing guidelines for magistrates and judges. The guidelines were crafted by a sentencing advisory committee made up of experienced jurists within the court in the Caribbean and the United Kingdom. The first series of guidelines will focus on drugs, firearms, theft, robbery, and sexual offenses. Sentencing remains an area of great public interest which attracts much comment, some of which is often uninformed. And the Chief Justice of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court says in the criminal justice system, the sentencing process is one of utmost importance and calls for deliberate and mature consideration. The goal, she says, is to ensure that public confidence in the justice system is maintained.
It has long been recognized that for this court to serve the people of the Eastern Caribbean region in an efficient and transparent manner, it must continuously find ways to improve its processes and procedures and embrace systems and methods that are transparent and easily understood by the people it serves. Over time, it became increasingly apparent that the sentencing process in a criminal trial across OECS states was being approached in different ways with results which to the public appeared to be disparate. The passing of a sentence must not just be done right, but must also be understood as having been done right. It was out of this desire to assist judicial officers, and more importantly, the desire to bring consistency to the approach to sentencing, and in so doing transparency and a greater sense of fairness to the sentencing process, that the idea of a sentencing guidelines project took root.
The Chief Justice says sentencing must not just be done right, but must also be understood as having been done right. You are watching Channel 5 News. We'll have more news after this.
Rudolph Thomas Enterprise in Portsmouth, your suppliers of building materials and hardware products. Over 20 years experience in the business. Rudolph Thomas has lumber and plywood, galvanized and fenced pipe. Check out Rudolph Thomas for ceramic and vinyl floor and wall tiles, nails, nuts and bolts, paint and painting supplies. And check out their line of electrical and hand tools. Go now to Rudolph Thomas on 1240 Bay Street in Portsmouth.
Thank you for staying with us. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court says it's ready to launch its e-litigation portal starting in St. Lucia and the court's headquarters. The rollout will continue in the Virgin Islands, Anguilla, and subsequently other OECS member states. This development is part of efforts to bring the court into the 21st century by the use of e-filing and enhanced electronic case management. The new website means speedy classification and case scheduling and greater efficiency. Crimson Logic Limited of Singapore is providing the application software for the new E-litigation website. The portal is expected to improve delivery of justice and reduce the court's operation costs. The court was in search of a solution that could be uniquely tailored to its needs and that of the magistracy. It also required a range of user-friendly features which would revolutionize the ease of doing court business right across the court's 9 member states jurisdiction as an integrated platform accessible from wherever practitioners may be. The Chief Justice says the issue of the ease of doing business is critical, as the economic outlook of any country is now routinely measured by the ease of doing business.
It can be no surprise that the performance of the judiciary in its ability to timely decide disputes is a key factor determining where a country ranks on this internationally recognized business index. We search for a tested partner who could deliver a robust software platform, complete with technical support when needed. And so after conducting that review and observing the platform at work in Singapore, we were fully satisfied that the company, Crimson Logic, with their proven track record in many other parts of the world, including Singapore, in building e-litigation platforms for use in several common law-based judiciaries, had the quality product which is best suited for this court's operations.
Dominica has been commended for reaching yet another milestone in the international community.
Team leader of the International Organization for Migration, IOM, Jan Willem Wigdam, made the announcement during the recent launching of the roof repair and core house project in Roseau South. He applauded Cabinet for approving the PNI collaboration agreement, which gives formal recognition and special benefits to United Nations organizations.
IOM started here in Dominica, and we're here to stay. And we were strengthened by that because Dominica became a member of IOM during our stay in November. This week we have another milestone in that, and we had the official membership, and now this week we got last week the Cabinet approved the so-called PNI or collaboration agreement, which basically PNI stands for privileges and indemnities. That means that they formally recognize and also that we are benefiting from being a United Nations organization. So we have privileges in terms of we don't have to pay VAT and those type of things, which makes it for us cheaper but also more attractive to work here, to continue our operation here.
The IOM has completed over 500 roof repairs and constructed more than 7 core houses so far. Wegdam says though the organization has set its target number of houses to repair, it is hoping to get additional funding to do even more roof repairs for Dominicans.
We also hope that we receive some funding for additional roof repair and core housing programs. We're actually talking to the Ministry of Finance for that. And hopefully we can reach an agreement to support even more people.
And President of the United Workers' Party, Senator Isaac Baptiste, has demonstrated that showing appreciation for the efforts of others does not have to be a partisan issue. Speaking at a UWP function marking the first anniversary of Hurricane Maria's impact on Dominica, Mr. Baptiste said government's restoration efforts post-Maria ought to be appreciated.
We in Dominica must show appreciation, notwithstanding our disagreement, to the government of Dominica for its efforts towards working to resolve and alleviate the conditions in Dominica post-Hurricane Maria. There are many challenges and there's much more to be done, but we must recognize the work of the government in that regard. We must also recognize and appreciate the work of the various parliamentary representatives, whether they be on the government side, on that of the opposition. There's work to be done, but they did their share.
Baptist has also commended international organizations and local utility companies for their efforts towards returning life to normal post-Maria.
We must also thank the many international community donors, governments, who provided assistance to Dominica during our period of need and continue to do so. More particularly, those who are now providing assistance with respect to housing, repair, and reconstruction. We must also recognize the hard work of the utility companies, particularly DOMLEC, for its effort, the DOMLEC and the WASCO, for their efforts in ensuring that most of the basic utility services are restored, not comprehensively and completely. In the Castlereagh constituency, we still have Good Hope, Saint-Sauveur, Petite-Soufrière, not fully energized. But we must recognize the work done in difficult circumstances to have the utility services reestablished. I call on Dominicans to put country before party, to put love and caring before party, and ensure that we in Dominica, as we proceed, that we will be doing so, recognizing that God spared our life, notwithstanding the damages, but we will continue and work hard for the development of this country.
M&J Covering is the producer of designed galvanized and galvalume in Dominica. They design to your specifications, color and length, 4 styles of galvanized and galvalume pre-painted roofing sheets as requested, and supply all your galvalume accessories. M&J Covering helps you control spending and reduce waste. At M&J Covering, they are also equipped to build your roof to precise standards anywhere on island. So come to M&J Covering at 1 Mile in Portsmouth or call 445-5001 275-5003 today.
To end the news, a look again at the headlines. Opposition leader Lennox Linton pleads not guilty to obstruction. A change in venue for the grand opening of this year's independence celebrations. And the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court ready to launch its e-litigation portal. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You may access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Julian Morris. Thank you for watching. Join us tomorrow.